Welcome to Althing Considered, a conversation on life and faith in heathenry, Asatru and Norse paganism from the Troth, education and service for inclusive heathenry.
Hello, I'm Piper Perry. It's October 4th, 2024, and this is Althing Considered, brought to you by the Troth as a community service. Althing Considered is our news program where we cover stories from around the world that pertain to heathens and heathenry and let you know where we are and what we're doing. One of the reasons many people join the Troth is because of Iduna magazine. Iduna is the publication for some of the best work in understanding heathenry as a living, changing faith. As part of retooling our publications department, we need some help, actually. We need an assistant editor. We need some proofreaders. We need an art director, and we need a layout person who knows Adobe InDesign. If you or someone you know is interested, please contact our volunteer coordinator, Chloe Tart, at the address at the bottom of your screen. Our clergy coordinator, Reverend Mar Durkin, has announced that Goddess Salons will resume on Sunday, November 3rd at 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central, 12 p.m. Mountain, 11 a.m. Pacific, and 6 p.m. UTC. November's goddess is Hel, and this salon will be led by Reverend Kurt Homan, who works with Hel and has an excellent background in both the lore and personal gnosis. This is still Pagan Pride season, although very much toward the end. And our New Mexico steward will be in Las Cruces on October 12th. Our New Mexico steward is also doing monthly pub moots around the state. The locations are listed on the Troth New Mexico Facebook page. Our Southern California steward will be at the Los Angeles Pagan Pride Day on October 13th. And our best program, whether you're a member or not, Heathen Essentials meets the first and third Saturday of the month. The next meeting should be tomorrow, and has a vibrant social community with Monday evening social chats on Facebook. For other events and appearances, please check out our website. Our first story is about the devastation in the wake of Tropical Storm Helene. As of this morning, the death toll is 215, with hundreds missing and millions without power and running water within 6 states: Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, and Tennessee. The cleanup from this disaster will take months, if not years. And we have a list of organizations to donate to on our website. The people on the ground have given us what they need and what they think they need. So please check that out in our announcement section. Our second story is about the unfortunate disinformation happening around Tropical Storm Helene disaster sites. AP News reports that many people are being told that they are in danger from federal employees and therefore not able to accept help from them, or that the land that their homes once stood on have been declared federal land and they will never be allowed to return. Or these devastated, exhausted people are being told that the tropical storm was orchestrated by the government because the government can control the weather. Call this different disinformation rather than misinformation. Misinformation is usually something that happens by mistake. Someone misremembers a news story and passes on the inaccurate information. Disinformation is the deliberate twisting or misuse of facts to influence people through fear and intimidation. Both misinformation and disinformation are issues in our modern world. One of the best weapons against misinformation and disinformation is discernment and research. Both ground news and all sides news have bias ratings for news sources, and there are several fact-checking websites, such as the ones that are running on our banner now. Please, when you hear something that sounds too bad to be true, look into it. In better news, New York State has returned 1,000 acres to the Onondaga people. According to ABC News, the heavily forested land is south of Syracuse and includes the headwaters of Onondaga Creek. Sid Hill, the Tandodano, or chief of the Onondaga Nation, said that he was grateful to the federal and state officials who worked with them to return the first 1,000 acres of the 2.5 million acres of treaty-guaranteed land taken from them over the centuries. Our last story tonight is more of a review. It's a pop culture story. Twilight of the Gods is a Zack Snyder production on Netflix. The Wild Hunt did a review of it last week, so I decided to check it out. I watched all 8 episodes, and while there were characters and character arcs that I really enjoyed, I don't know if I liked it overall. They made some interesting choices around who told the story. Presenting the mythology from the Jotun point of view was innovative and clever. And also, Twilight of the Gods cast the Aesir in a horrifying light. On one hand, I get that. If my entire family were murdered by a god on my wedding day, I would be carrying a mountain-sized grudge. Whether you like it or hate it, Twilight of the Gods is a program that made me question some of my fundamental assumptions, and that's what art is supposed to do. Alabama is the latest state to purge voters from its rolls because the Secretary of State believes they are non-citizens. Alabama is being sued by both a coalition of local voting rights groups and the Department of Justice for violating the National Voter Registration Act. If you are in Alabama or any other state, go to vote.gov and see if you're still registered. In the wake of Tropical Storm Helene, voters in affected states especially will need help making sure their votes count. Our main story tonight is about dying well in the modern world. We will be discussing what we need from a practical standpoint as well as a spiritual one. Tonight we are joined by Kami Blackwell, a certified death midwife. Welcome, Kami.
Hi, Pfeiffer. Thanks for having me here.
I'm really glad you decided to join us this evening. So just to start, what does a death midwife do?
One of the things that a death midwife does is we stand between the medical community and the dying or the funerary communities. We're non-medical. We act as a companion and a guide to help people through this transition. Hopefully they can have a gentle, meaningful death, helping people, pets. I've done a few pets, have a death that they want and have an experience that is valuable for them.
Fantastic. So what drew you to this work?
I have had a lifetime of being around death and dying. It's very prevalent in my family. I had an aunt who would see dead people, so it's been part of the upbringing, and I've always been very comfortable with it. I ended up doing in-home hospice care for my stepfather when he was passing, and I had no training. I had no idea what I was doing, but I got to see firsthand what the process is, and I wanted to be able to help. And then I went through my own cancer experience and came close to that wall, and the realization that because I'm comfortable in the situation and I see it as something beautiful, that I can be useful and help people navigate something that's going to happen to everyone that we don't really have a connection with anymore.
Awesome. What do you wish people knew about dying in the modern world?
We don't ever talk about it. You're probably going to get very tired of me saying, talk about it. Because it's something that gets pushed off, or we don't actually, just like birth, we don't experience it anymore. Modernly, it's not part of our experience. We experience theatrical versions of death. We experience detached, like watching the news or reading news stories, but actually being in that moment or being around it is something that's very foreign to people. And because there's no experience with it, then it ends up being more frightening than it needs to be, and also more daunting than the whole process is. Death is always unexpected. You don't know, even if you have a prognosis, if you're in hospice care, you still don't know exactly when death is going to arrive. They do this on their own time schedule, and we've tried so hard in our society to make everything, I have until 4, I have 3 days, and allowing people to know that for all of our desire to control and plan and be on top of, birth and death evade that. It's going to come out of nowhere. And also with death, someone is going to see your secrets. Someone's going to find your vibrator. Someone is going to, have to go through your social media. Someone's going to, touch your underwear, go through your underwear drawer. And because we are so isolated socially, we don't think of that. So, yeah, it's thinking about the fact that at some point, everything you think is hidden isn't.
Oh, I like that. And also, that's kind of scary. Um, I'm going to point out right now, Kami recommended this for me, and it's brilliant. I'm dead. What now? Now what? Where it's not a legal document, but you can write things like apologies or regrets, or you can, all of your social media is written down in there, all of that stuff. So it's very helpful for sort of organizing in a practical way. Uh, who gets your stuff, what stuff, all of that. So yeah, but yes, they will look at all of your stuff, including your underwear. um, what practical suggestions do you have for people getting their affairs in order?
There are documents that I would say that are necessary, and I have things written down because after 2 rounds of chemotherapy in my life, my brain has become a little bit of a sieve. Um,
Totally understand. Yes.
and just living life. But everyone has heard of a will, pretty much, which is the distribution of your assets. It's good to have, even if you don't think you have anything, because credit card or bank accounts, cars, all of that. And the beauty of having your forms filled out and having your documents filled out is that the people that are now left behind, who are mourning you and grieving you, do not have to try to figure this stuff out. They can just pick up a piece of paper and go, oh, this is what I need to do. And
This is what I wanted. Yeah.
yeah, and this is where it is, and this is how, and all those conversations about, well, Aunt Betty knows that she gets the gold polished turd ring.
Right. Sure.
It
Sure.
it's not helpful in the moment. Talk about it, yes, but write it down. Write it down. Document.
Right.
The
So what
next one.
else do people need besides a will?
Well, then you've got your healthcare directive. It's also known as a living will. It's also, it contains a DNR. So that is the thing. It's legal. It describes the medical treatments that you want if you are seriously or terminally ill, or if you're injured. And the living will actually talks about levels of the DNR. A DNR itself is literally a legal document that says, do not resuscitate me. And there are levels before that kicks in. In the living will, you can say, do not resuscitate me, let me go. You can also say, go ahead. If it looks like I have a chance, resuscitate me. And then you talk about like how long or under what circumstances you would want to be. Some people absolutely don't want CPR. You can go into that kind of detail. And then there's also a statement of flip and do everything you can. Save my ass. Do it all. And keep doing it all. I don't care. And you choose between that. And one thing that people get afraid of with that is, if I sign these papers, then especially a DNR, if I'm conscious and I go into an emergency room, they're not going to help me. That's false. If you're awake, anything you say verbally will supersede this.
Oh, good to know. That's fantastic.
Yeah. So you don't have to, it's a fear, right?
Oh,
and
yeah.
as long as you can communicate and you're obviously on it, you can turn to the EMT or whatever and say, save me, and they will.
Fantastic.
So that's a good thing to know. Really, the advance directive is, all of this is so that your loved ones have the support they need to be able to do what you want and not double triple guess themselves. There's also a durable power of attorney. And it's durable, meaning that it's only in effect when you are unable to make decisions for yourself. And that's someone who can make healthcare decisions for you.
Okay.
And they go in and they can answer questions and make decisions. You're unconscious. Do we leave her, on this? Do we dialysis? Do we do a blood transfusion?
All of
Just,
this. Yeah.
and they can say yes, no, maybe no. And then if you become conscious again and you become in a state where you can make decisions, legal decisions, it's the durable power of attorney reverts. So it's only when you can't do it.
Right.
Same with your durable power of attorney for finances. And that is someone that can handle bank account finances when you can't.
Right.
And that's good to have, because if you're in the hospital or in a situation for a long period of time, that way bills can get paid, business can be handled, that type of thing. And then my favorite thing to discuss is body disposition, which is what you want to have happen to the body after you have passed. A lot of people think, well, you just call someone and they take it away and it happens automatically. But someone has to make that decision. Who calls? Where does it go? What do they do? So get that piece of paper and write it down. And then you also want a HIPAA release form for people that you want to know about what's happening to you while you're sick. And with the HIPAA release form, you don't actually have to be incapacitated. It's someone that the doctor can talk to. They can tell if you want your sister to know everything that's going on with you, you can do that. If you want your best friend, you can do that. And then the doctor and the hospital know they can talk to them. So I would say, first of all, you want to talk to the people around you and the people that care about you, or the people that would come if something happened, and let them know, how you feel, and then write it down and involve them and let them see where it is and that type of thing.
Okay, cool. What spiritual suggestions do you have for people getting their affairs in order?
I'm going to tie this back.
Go ahead.
Because I also believe strongly that getting your documents in order is something that you do now. Whether you're 20, 35, 3,268, it's important, because dying is part of living. And it is how you live your life. You being able to process dying and have a good relationship with dying and then death has to do a lot with how you live. I would encourage people on the spiritual side to, have a healthy spiritual practice, whatever that is. And as someone who would be facing that situation, if throughout your life, or for longer than the 2 hours since the doctor told you, you have had an ongoing relationship with whatever you believe in, then it allows you to live through the dying and have the best life you can. It's part and parcel. People, their spirituality will ramp up when they get a diagnosis, diagnosis. And there's a reason for that, because we're looking for, that's one of the only things that really helps us process and deal with the unknown or the indefinable,
Mhm.
And if you've had a relationship ongoing with something outside of yourself that you have worked to gain a relationship with, and that you understand it to be almost indefinable, and yet you work with it and know it, then you're comfortable with that. I don't know exactly what it is, but I'm going to do this.
Okay. Um, how do we heal ancestral relationships as part of dying in peace?
It's part of living in peace. Um, if you wait until you're dying to heal, then that's a lot of healing for that dying process. And I believe in, as part of my life, reaching out through whatever spiritual practice you have, and reaching to your ancestors and meeting them, and the same way you would get a relationship with anyone, get to know where they're from, get to know their history and their food. This is sounded a lot like another discussion, but it's the same thing.
Right.
And I also, forgiving yourself, because very often, if you can find a way to forgive yourself for your, for whatever it is you may carry from your ancestors, and say, it's not, it helps you be able to connect with them. And if you know you're passing, you can also reach to them and they can help you. And if you're in the dying process, it's very typical. It's documented. It's scientifically studied that people have visitors that no one can see, and that family comes. And so having those moments, having those rituals, and if you don't get along with Aunt Lulu who passed, that's okay. You don't have to. But you have ancestors that you've never met. And you can also, it's like being able to choose your family, and having that interaction and relationship with them. So take time and investigate, be curious. Who were they? What happened to them? And listen to your heart, listen to your soul about what is happening and what is going on. Yeah, I think you got to live your life.
I
And
like the heal it while you're
yeah,
alive.
sorry if
Because if you
I'm,
try, no, it's okay. If you try to do it at the end, it's just too much.
yeah, yeah. And so find ways, dying is about how you live.
Mhm.
And so get out there and live now. Connect with ancestors now. Connect with friends now. Write your stuff down now. Think about how you feel about the afterlife, Valhalla, or think about that now. Explore it
Mhm.
now. Make it part of the adventure now.
Okay, cool. What should we do as a community to support someone in mourning?
I think one thing that's important is we've got this society now where information travels so quickly, and I would challenge people to, as a supportive endeavor, that if you hear something, that Susan passed away, and you haven't been authorized to say something, don't post it, don't respond to it until an official notification, excuse me, from the family or the inner circle comes out, because they may be trying desperately to get a hold of a son or a daughter or something, and you don't want them finding out on Facebook. So it's that, having that time, giving the family that grace to be able to process and do. We want to come together and make it all better right away, and do something. And especially in this environment, we're a bunch of get things doneers, right? So we want to get in and make a difference. And this person needs a little time. There's also a lot of neurodivergent people in our community. And hi, I'm Kami. I have ADHD. And we have a tendency to let people know we understand by sharing our own story. In this new grief moment, that's not the best way to do it.
Okay. What would be the best way to do it?
You want to realize that nothing you've experienced is what they're going through. Okay. And being able to look at someone and say, I don't know exactly how you feel, but I'm here for you. I care. If we all need help sometimes. If you need anything, let me know. That if you need anything, let me know. That's a little problematic. It's a solid thing to say, and admitting that you don't understand and that you can't possibly feel the way these people feel because you're not them and you're not in their relationship. So, and you don't know.
Right.
But offering, I can pick up groceries. I can come do your laundry. I can't, I've got extra this. That's, specific helpful things. And the little things are the hardest things to do when you're grieving. And especially right after someone passes. Everybody wants to feed you. And
yes. Yes, I do.
My husband passed away in 2019, and it really was. And then this recently I went through cancer again, and it really is that everybody wants to nurture you and feed you. And this is part of our hospitality too, right? Here, let me give you food. And sometimes what they really need is someone to just help them shop or pick it up for them or sit with them. Offering to fill their gas tank, wash their car, stuff like that. Also, the grief lasts a long time. So and I actually have had someone tell me, and it was almost exactly this quote, "It's been 2 weeks. Why aren't you over it yet?"
Ow. Okay. Yeah.
So it's that put your own discomfort aside and ask the person what they need or offer what you can do. And if you can't do what they need, then gracefully and graciously tell them you care and let it be. Because it's not about you, it's about them. Right. And there's also a model that's called, I can't remember the actual name of it. I meant to look it up before, but no. Where the idea is you put compassion in, it's levels of care. Compassion goes in and complaining goes out. Right. So at the center of that is like the person that was primarily attached to the deceased. And they can share, complain, cry to anyone else. Right. But the next round out would be like family. And they can complain to the people on the outer circles, but they do not complain to the person in the center. And the community friends can complain with each other, but they don't complain to the people that are like trying to coordinate everything. It's that you put your compassion in, and you take your complaining and your insecurity, your discomfort out.
Right.
It's not that it isn't valid. Absolutely is. Share it with the people in your own circle.
Right.
And support each other that way. Don't look to the people at the center to make you feel better because they had someone pass away.
Right. Okay. Well, we have so many questions. So,
cross your fingers, I can answer them all.
oh yeah, I'm sure you can. Let's see. Let me find this one. Oh yeah, this one. What is the best way to navigate the paperwork?
I actually like getting a group of people together and doing it more like a social event. And you can help each other. Yeah. And again, I'm talking if you're doing it before the crisis.
Right.
Then you can share it and talk about it. I love the books. I'm Dead, Now What? All of those are wonderful in guiding you through. Just as there's a transgender law center that has a whole packet for transgender people. The idea, the advanced directives in most states will lead you through it with questions. So it's not as formal. It doesn't have to be formal. And
Right.
you can kind of make it a party. And really and truly, you should be checking, I hate that word, but should.
Right.
Review your paperwork like once a year. And I like to do it around Halloween, around all this time of year.
Sure, winter nights when we celebrate our beloved dead.
Yeah. So, heck, why not? Right. And
right.
Get everybody together, have some spiced meat and, talk about do not resuscitate.
Yes. For sure.
You may notice that I have a tendency to want to make it a little bit more playful and joyful.
Well, I have also lost people that were very close to me, partner and beloved relatives and things like that. And to be clear, neither of them prepared. Right. So to be in that position where you're trying to make these decisions, you're trying to honor the wishes of the person that is passed, you're trying to honor the wishes of the family that is left. And that can get really ugly and painful really fast. So to do this in a joyful way in a group where you all sit down and sort of, figure it out together and, so everyone knows, right? So there's no surprises. I hate surprises. Yeah. That kind of surprise anyway. Okay. As a religious organization, what can the Troth do to make this passage easier for heathens and their families?
Oh, hi, Ben. I was like, that sounds like Ben. Oh, it is. You're doing it. Talk about it, right? It's one of those things that people will try to not think about if they don't have to. So bring it up. There could be resources to some documentation that could be provided for people, so it's easier. It's fairly straightforward to find online, though. I would say, as moving forward, being able to have as part of the education, perhaps some of the beliefs, rituals, workings around death and dying. I would challenge to spend time on living a life that you want to have, and allow the truth, supporting people. And that's part of the inclusivity, correct?
Right.
That living like your best life and finding ways to do that, and being able to support people in all of their transitions. And that's not simply a clergy thing. That's a community thing, and it's a sharing of information thing, and a normalizing of the discussion thing.
Awesome. Would publishing a funeral ceremony, making videos of a funeral, and having a list of providers of funerary services help?
Lists. I'm a Virgo. I'm always for a good list. So you got me with list on that one, Ben. Heck yeah. It does. That's a good thing. Publishing a ceremony, even the idea of publishing or working on a vigil, or
Right.
something to do while the person is still alive or while they're passing.
Mm-hmm.
I think, because there are a lot of examples of of memorial services. And as a society, even if we've been disconnected from the moment of death, most of us have been around a funeral.
Right.
But very few people have experienced a vigil, and have experienced, how do I create sacred space for someone in that moment? And music, art, poetry, in hospitals, candles, but you can use battery operated candles. And that, I would say, and that's a community thing too, because it brings people together, helping each other.
Right. What are your thoughts about a living funeral?
Oh, I love it. Well, I'm here saying, live your life now, do it now, right?
Sure. So a living funeral, yeah.
I love the idea of gathering everyone together and saying what a wonderful human being I am. Well, I'm there to hear it. That would be great, There will probably still be a funeral after. There'll still be a ceremony after. But I'm a little broken record. You don't need to wait till someone's dying.
Which is, the best. Actually, you don't have to wait till someone's died. You can actually do this.
Yeah, hopefully we can find a way, to they know how you feel. But I think honoring a person while they're still there, to appreciate it, and to respond to you saying, I've always appreciated it when you did this, or I remember when this happened. That is wonderful. So yes.
Fantastic. And this is a wonderful response to how can we help people, right, who are in mourning, who have in grief, who are losing someone. That's sort of, we companion best when we allow ourselves to be moved by loss. And that is, it is uncomfortable. And a lot of people kind of want to, pretend it didn't happen.
That space.
Yeah.
We forget that just simply listening has great value.
We do forget that.
Without offering options, just an ear. Sometimes that's a huge thing. And I loved the not trying to fix them. And I'm pretty sure I saw quotations around the fix.
There were.
Because you're not broken.
Yeah, because you're not broken. You're just sad.
You're just sad right now. Yeah. And you're confused and you're lost and you're, being able to sit in your discomfort while someone else is processing theirs.
Okay. Does a death midwife help the family or the group with that, sort of like changing that so that it's not so frightening or so daunting? Or, I have both gone through grief. We know that when something hits you like that, you don't want to get a bed, you don't want to eat a food, you don't want to do anything. You just want to not be, right? So helping people navigate that better.
Absolutely. The first priority is the person who is dying. So, and while that process is happening, you are there to support the family, help the family. But the number one is the person that's going through it. And so sometimes it's supporting the family and giving them a place to talk about what's happening with their loved one so that the loved one doesn't have to process it.
Right.
And after, you can help with memorials. You can help with just being there and talking to the family after, being a touchstone, and because it's all a compassion based and a support based endeavor. The idea of being a presence that can provide some stability and consistency for people. Lighthouse parenting is now a word, but or a phrase. But the lighthouse idea is that light in the dark, right? So absolutely. Some families don't want it. Some families do. And it's about, there's a lot of customization with this.
Okay. How do you become a death midwife?
I did it through an organization called deathmidwife.org. And there are other certifications and other training programs out there. I particularly like deathmidwife.org. Angie Buchanan is the woman who runs that. And some of you may recognize the name. It's very it's not stuck in Christianity. So
it's non-denominational. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, there's the word. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And it's also really easy access. It doesn't cost a lot of money, and it's a weekend for the certification. There's support through the website, through the organization. There's further interactions. You're not just like, congratulations, and then you're, but I like the fact that she and that process empowers you then to do your version of it, and gives you that empowerment to do it and the resources. So I highly recommend. But there are, a Google web search will give you organizations. Also, there's some hospices that will do training programs for volunteers and such. Not necessarily a death midwife certification, but it is still working with that process, and they train you to be able to be a companion for people in hospice. That's a good place to start too.
So what do you in this position need to do to take care of yourself while you're doing this?
Self-care. Oh my goodness. My Achilles tendon. Maybe we should talk about what someone else could know. Um,
Sure. Sure.
It's important, right? You have to sleep, you have to eat, you have to ground, but there is a technique that is called zipping up. So, and it's a shielding technique, and when you go into the situation and when you're doing the work, you step in, you pull that bag or pull that shawl or blanket around you, and then you zip it up, and
Okay.
that helps you be able to keep yourself. It's kind of like wearing a hospital gown, you don't get splattered, and it also keeps your issues or anything with you from going on someone else. I traditionally shield, so it's not that device. My shields work differently, but I very definitely shield when I am doing the work. You can be felt through shielding. You can feel information through shielding. It's eating. Eating is the hardest thing for me to do. So I'm going to say it like 8 times because, eating well, not ramen, but well.
Right.
Support yourself, get your water, get your sleep, take breaks. And there are also a lot of things that help. And if you're neurodivergent, some of the, like sour candy, all of that. And also spend time with what you believe is appropriate, what you're comfortable with. And this is the hard work. And this is the hard work in so many of the things that I do. And a very wonderful human being helped me learn this. Finding your weaknesses and your soft spots and knowing where you aren't as strong and being able to protect that and being able to honor that. I can't work with burn victims. I have, I don't respond, I lock up. And so knowing that you have a tendency to, push, and then not sleep, or you might get a little aggravated if somebody gets in your face, knowing that type of thing, because this is about maintaining a level energy for yourself and for the people around you.
Fantastic. We have protein helps in crying.
Protein.
Yes.
Thank you, Crystal. Heck yeah. Good protein. Have a steak. It's a good excuse for some red meat. I never ground into sugar. Oh Lord, please don't. Yeah. It's nutrition for you, right? Mm-hmm. So, if you find that good nutrition for you, but you make sure you do it.
Okay. Are there any particular sorts of personalities or people that are better at this than others? Or is there are there people that shouldn't probably do this job? And why? Yeah.
Boy, am I going to do an end run around that question. Do
it. Okay.
I think that if you're drawn to do it, then you're the person to be doing it. Okay. If you are thinking maybe you should, it's going to be problematic for you. And there are so many ways to be helpful in this that don't really mean having to be the midwife. And, but I do think that, every lock has a key, right? if you have a distinct drawing to it and you go through the training and it invigorates you and doesn't depress you, then I would say that it's a good choice. And again, death is not unusual. And our forefathers, our forebears, our ancestors dealt with this day in and day out. So everyone is equipped to be able to handle this, to do it. It's just, how much, how far, how long.
Right.
And you honor your own limitations.
Awesome. I love that. And this is very true.
Oh, thank you.
All right. So what are your pluggables? Where are you
Oh my
at?
goodness.
How can people get a hold of you?
You warned me about this. I'm in the process of rebranding and re-upping after huge amounts of transformation in my life. I'll talk later. So I'm working on a new website, KamiBlackwell.com. It is close to being done. Awesome. And I am available through Kami Blackwell3 at gmail.com. And I'm findable on Facebook. I'm on Discord. Now, full disclosure, I am a Jones generation. I used to claim I'm actually a boomer, but I say Jones because I'm more comfortable with that. And sometimes Discord is not my best tool, but we will find a way to make it work.
I understand. Yes.
You can get a hold of me that way as well. So
fantastic.
I don't have anything really cool coming up yet, but I do have some plans. So
awesome. Fantastic.
Always plotting.
Always plotting. Yes. All right. Well, thank you so much, Kami, for being here tonight. And this has been a great conversation. One other question. As you are rebranding and doing all this stuff, how much are people paying for this? Is this
there's a range. I'm coming in at $100 an hour.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We can negotiate.
Well, sure. And I'm assuming that just from the whole thing that is, some sort of sliding scale depending on what you've got. Right.
Mm-hmm. And what you want and where you are. And that's part of the plan too, is a more modular approach so that you don't have to make all the decisions ahead of time. But fantastic. I haven't. Yeah. That's still in my brain waiting to spew forth in its gloriousness. Yes.
Oh, Kami, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Okay, please join us next week, October 11th at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Mountain, 6 p.m. Pacific, and 1 a.m. UTC. And for those of you, this is on our YouTube channel, so you don't actually have to stay up till 1 o'clock in the morning. But next week, we'll be talking to Carl Bonebright, voice actor, and Josh Heath, game designer and veteran, about the differences between reality and fantasy when it comes to portrayals of our ancestors and ourselves. May your week be blessed.